Hello, everyone, and welcome to an XTIVIA webinar, delivering the information you need for the business future you want. We're sharing our knowledge to help your business thrive in today's new normal. My name is Alex Killian, and I'm the video producer here on XTIVIA's marketing team. And today you'll be hearing from some of our Microsoft experts, Senior Account Executive Mike Aaron Hersterbaumer and CRM Design and Logistics Manager Anash Wadia. Anash and Mike, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Before we dive in here, to tell you just a little bit about our company. For nearly 3 decades, we've been providing a variety of expert IT services to hundreds of businesses in countless industries. If you can imagine the business outcome, XTIVIA can create it with technology. And to kick things off this morning, we've got a poll question for you. This is the 4th webinar in our Microsoft series. So we're curious if you've joined for any of our other webinars in this series. So we'll give you a chance to answer this question real quick. Awesome. So it looks like most of our attendees here have been to one of our other Microsoft webinars. Thank you so much for that. If not, you can check out the rest of our webinars in this series in our on-demand webinar library on our website. We'll be sending out a link today after the webinar for that, or if you're watching on demand, you can click the link in the description below. And also, we've got one more webinar in this Microsoft webinar series coming up, so make sure you come back and register for that. And as you can see, XTIVIA has a wide range of experience in the Microsoft space. We do everything from customer experience to cloud solutions. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Anash for our agenda this morning.
Well, thanks, Alex. So folks, for the agenda today, we want to talk about Dynamics 365 CRM for sales. But before we jump in, we'd like to talk about some of the common business challenges we see with organizations who don't have a good CRM system in place. We then touch upon the Dynamics 365 features and benefits, and then we'll talk about some of our customer success stories that we'd like to share with you. So some of the common business challenges we see is that organizations implement multiple applications for very specific business needs. And over time, these grow increasingly siloed, and users now have to access multiple systems to get the information they need. They have to have different logins, and it becomes a mess. On the same note, this also causes communication silos between teams. For example, salespeople have to rely on accounting to tell them how much a customer has purchased in the previous year. They have to rely on the customer service team to understand what open issues existing customers have outstanding with them. So these cause communication issues. Then there's lack of a repeatable sales technique. This is another very common problem we see, where you want to make sure that the sales team is following the correct steps to follow in the sales process to lead to a sales win. And every one of those steps needs to be tracked, and the sales team needs to have insight into where each opportunity is in that sales process. And without a good system in place, that just doesn't happen. Without these processes, it just results in poor communication or complete lack of communication. An entire opportunity can be missed, a customer doesn't get followed up with, or a prospect doesn't get followed up with, and you can potentially lose the business. The other common thing we see is just lack of good, well-established set of KPIs, which can monitor the process, sales pipeline, where everybody is in the process, and it helps the sales team get a quick snapshot of where they are, and at a glance, even management gets a good idea of where things are for the overall forecast of the organization. This also helps not just sales folks, but also people in the delivery and resource planning side of things. And finally, without a good CRM system in place to overcome all these challenges, eventually you're just going to see poor revenue growth, lack of sales, no sales, lost sales, and lost customers. So with that, we move to another quick poll question. So do you currently use a CRM, and are you enjoying the benefits of CRM? We'd love to hear your feedback. Okay, and the results are in. And interestingly, there's quite a few people using the CRM, but definitely feel it could be better. So this is a great place where we would love to come in and help you. Please reach out to us, and if we can make improvements to your CRM system, we'd be happy to help. All right. So moving on, let's just touch upon some of the high-level benefits. Microsoft Dynamics is a very large, robust product, but we'd like to talk about just some of the key benefits that we like to point out to customers. Um, so starting off with enable smarter selling with contextual AI. Dynamics offers an assistant as just one of the many features it offers, with enhanced features to allow you to create and display custom insight cards with predictive scoring, which helps you focus on revenue generation. So it helps tell you, instead of you having to go dig through the data in the system, it helps to figure out, hey, you probably want to contact this person, or this person just made a potential sale come up. So things of that can be brought up to you automatically using the AI of the system. It empowers sellers to build relationships. So it allows your team to build relationships with the right buyers into the right connections. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which many people on this webinar may have heard of, is actually one of the tools that Microsoft incorporates to enable this capability. Boost sales productivity with seamless tools. So sales processes can be established, like we spoke about earlier, to define a standardized process. This is really important to result in a winning sales formula that works for your organization. A good, well-defined sales process is absolutely key to successful repetitive sales. Improve coaching and sales performance. Salespeople are basically empowered by the use of real-time dashboards and trends in their pipeline. So it helps them kind of understand where things are going. Increasing sales profitability, advanced insights. There's a piece called conversational intelligence built in Dynamics, which transcribes calls and analyzes content of those calls to provide salespeople meaningful insights into what buyers' sentiments are and what their behavioral style is. It also helps managers use this for training for future salespeople as well, and also how to fine-tune the sales process. So it's a really powerful tool. Finally, just touching upon innovation with sales solutions built to evolve. Microsoft is on the forefront of sales innovation technology and is constantly adding and improving on its product suite. And so new features are being added on a regular basis into the CRM. With that, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Mike.
Awesome. Thanks, Anash. So really kind of the next question to ask and what we want to cover today is, why would you look at Microsoft Dynamics for sales, right? For those of you in the poll question and answer that you are utilizing some type of CRM before, or you're taking a look at CRM, you've probably seen that there's a lot of very good options out in the marketplace, besides Microsoft. But really the question asked is, why would you look at Microsoft? Well, as you can see here from just the screenshot and some of these bullet points that we have here, Microsoft is all about trying to make the sales reps' lives easier and give them the data they need at their fingertips, so they don't have to work for that information, right? They're not wasting time trying to go find that information. They're taking their time and they're focusing on the job that they should be doing, which is selling, right? Bringing in more revenue for the organization, making sure the clients are continuously happy with whatever service or product it is that you may be offering to them, right? Microsoft is a full-on collaborative suite, is the way we like to kind of term it, right? So if you all are utilizing something like SharePoint for documentation inside of your system, if you're using Teams as your collaboration method, if you're using OneNote, Outlook, Office of any kind, whatever that is, that plugs right into 365 for sales, right? So again, it becomes a full-on collaborative suite, a collaborative solution, in that your sales reps aren't wasting time clicking into this system, having to find their login for that system. Everything can be found in one solution for them, whether they're on the computer, the tablet, it doesn't matter. And you get the data right there at your fingertips whenever you may need it to do your job adequately and bring more revenue into the organization. So there's plenty of reasons why Microsoft for sales, but to us, that's really one of the big driving factors for sure. So the next thing to think about when you guys are looking, or when anyone's taking a look at Microsoft 365 for sales, is which is going to be the best fit for me. So this slide right here, I mean, a lot of this is basically public knowledge. You can find this information on Microsoft's public-facing website. But 365 for sales, they offer a few different versions and varieties of it. The very first one is professional. Second one is enterprise, and then we'll talk about sales insights at the end. So professional is a very good, solid CRM solution. If I would say maybe a startup business, very small in terms of users. You're not looking to reinvent the wheel. You just need something to help you manage your day, manage your data, what's in my pipeline, things of that nature. Very basic stuff. Sales for enterprise. This is really the most popular. This is the one that makes sense for the vast majority of organizations. And in all honesty, when you look at some of its competitors in the marketplace, it's not that expensive. It's fairly priced. But one of the biggest differences between professional and enterprise is its extendability, its customization ability. I don't even know if that's a word. I'm just going to go with it. And configurability. The professional edition has very limited capabilities when it comes to tailoring the system for your business, right? So you can buy CRM off the shelf. That's great. Start using it. It'll be helpful, but you're not ever going to see your ROI on it. In order for CRM, and it doesn't matter which CRM you're going with, in order for you to get the ROI on your CRM, you need it to be tailored towards your business and your unique use cases. And professional, you have limited capabilities there. Enterprise, you can take it as far as you want to go. The other big thing is you have automation and workflow. So taking some of your manual processes and automating them to save your users time, headache, money, whatever it is. But taking any process that you currently have as a business, as an organization that's tied to your sales process, service process, marketing, whatever it is, and taking that and automating it can be a big game changer. And you have that in enterprise. The third icon you see here is sales insights. So one of the new buzzwords, one of the new big things in technology is AI, artificial intelligence, right? You probably hear about it all the time. Dynamics 365's version is sales insights. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to, again, give your reps another tool to make them more successful at their job, right? All of this is based on the data within the system. So if I want to know right out of the gate right away that nobody has talked to certain customers within 30, 60, 90 days, I want that plastered on my homepage. I want a notification of that because that's just wrong. Customers should be getting talked to at least once a quarter, right? If I want to truly look at the health and of every relationship with our customers based on certain criteria, based on past orders, based on whatever, AI and sales insights can help you do that. Same thing with just making better decisions, better views on the pipeline, trends, all of those things. The artificial intelligence brought in by sales insights is a very powerful piece that will allow your team the more tools at their disposal to do their jobs. And again, it's all about that manual effort, right? Stop with the manuals, automate, give them the tools that they need to do their job and bring in more revenue for the organization. And this AI component of sales insight is a big feature of that. And I think with that, yep, we have another poll question. And it goes right hand in hand with that. So is your organization today currently leveraging any type of AI, artificial intelligence type features like sales insights, like I just referenced, right? It could be something that's tied into your CRM that you're using. Could be its own standalone thing. It could be tied into your back-end ERP system, whatever it is. But, are you currently utilizing any type of AI type features solution in your business today? Oh, interesting. Nobody really is. All right. Well, that's good to know. We'd love to talk to you further about this, kind of how it can help, where it can play within your business, and the type of benefits that you can really kind of see out of that to make better decisions and to make your teams more efficient. But yeah, interesting results. So, all right. Well, thank you for sharing. All right. So, kind of next question, right? We've been talking, or not next question, but next piece we want to talk to you guys about. A lot of this today has been around Dynamics 365 sales and why, right? A little bit about why you would do that along with us, with XTIVIA, right? So XTIVIA is a Microsoft Gold partner. We have been working with all pieces of Microsoft product suite for several years now and have expertise across the board. You can see as you're kind of looking at this, 365 touches just about every avenue, every piece of the business that you can imagine. So whether it is marketing, whether it's sales, like we're really kind of focusing on today, customer service, field service, finance, HR, commerce, Business Central, which is the ERP solution, One thing that isn't really listed here is project service automation. So PSA. So how are you managing your projects, your tasks on a day-to-day basis, time tracking, all that kind of different stuff. All of those product suites are a part of the Dynamics 365 platform. Power BI is another one. And these are all areas where XTIVIA has a vast amount of experience and expertise. No matter kind of where you are in the Microsoft journey, we can really be the partner to kind of go with and help, stick around and make sure you're successful on the product, on the suite, no matter which Microsoft systems or products you might be utilizing in your daily business lives. So, and just everybody knows Gartner, right? You probably looked at Gartner for one reason or another over the years, no matter what you're kind of researching, whether it's CRM, BI, it doesn't really matter. But so, Gartner does have Microsoft listed as a leader. So it's actually the 2020 Gartner Peer Insights Customer Choice for CRM Lead Management. You can kind of see here just a little bit more of the statistics. It has a 4.4 out of 5 based on votes within users, and that's based on evaluation and contracting, integration and deployment, and service and support. So, there's a quote from somebody right then and there. But as you see, Microsoft is always really going to be in a good spot on the Gartner quadrant, no matter if it is like we're talking today around CRM, maybe it's around ERP, BI, whatever it might be. You're always going to see Microsoft at or near the top. So. And so kind of going along with that, this is a point that we've referenced several times today, and we're probably going to reference a few times more, even though we only have a few minutes left, is the Microsoft stack, right? It is a collaborative suite. One thing that is really going to help your business, and we have companies that deal with this issue all the time. We've dealt with the issues internally in the past. But having disparate systems, right, and not having everything together to properly be able to have our team members, no matter if they're in customer service, marketing, sales, it doesn't matter, operations even, what they're giving them the tools to do their job adequately. And if I have to go to 5 different systems to actually sell our stuff, it's not going to work. It's just, maybe it will, but it's going to make my job a hell of a lot harder. When if I can just have one system that's tied in that allows me to collaborate with my team throughout whatever piece of job functionality that I am. Maybe I'm sales, it doesn't matter. But that's one of the big benefits of Microsoft. Whether you're using Office 365, Power BI from a reporting perspective, talked about Business Central from an ERP project service. We actually have a strong focus on Microsoft on the government contracting space. I don't know if we have anybody in the webinar today that is on the government contracting side. But we have a very strong presence in that area as well. And again, that's all tied around the same things through the CRM components, the ERP components, and all of that tied together. And then even, like I said, leveraging Power BI, SharePoint, Teams, OneNote can really just make your team a lot more collaborative, save very much time, and more successful in their roles. And that's one of the areas that Microsoft 365 is going to help you in. All right. Final poll question, I believe. So what products from the Microsoft suite are you currently leveraging, if any, today? I would imagine most people are at least using something, but what are you currently utilizing? I believe this is a multiple choice question, so you can choose more than one if that's where you're at in the business. So, but we have them listed here: Office 365, that's the Outlook, Excel, Word, the Dynamics 365 Sales, which is what we're talking about today, Teams, SharePoint, Power BI, OneNote, Business Central. There's plenty of other Microsoft products, obviously, but these are just some of the ones that we wanted to list today. We didn't want to overwhelm anybody. So. And the results, unsurprisingly, 100% of the people are using Office 365, 20% 365 for sales, interesting, 40 using Teams, SharePoint and Power BI, OneNote, Business Central, all about 20%. So interesting. So numbers kind of all across the board, but the 100% Office 365, that's not surprising at all. But awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for your input. And all right, guys, so just some CRM customer stories. So some interesting things to just kind of touch on, just to give you an idea on some of the things that, 365 sales can do and how it can tie into your business even better. So public-private hybrid business model. So like I had mentioned earlier, we have a pretty strong expertise, or not pretty strong, very strong expertise in the government contracting space. So there was an organization that had both the government contracting side of the business and a commercial side of the business. Those businesses basically interact, or I should say operate, as almost completely separate entities. They have different customers, they have different data points, different processes that they follow. So their CRM usage is not actually completely different, but Microsoft's customization and configuration and extendability allows you to set it up almost completely differently for different users, but under the same system, right? So the government contracting users are able to use the system the way it works for their business that allows them to do their job. And the commercial sales reps are able to do their job within the system how they need it to do. It can be built out, all the use cases, the processes, the customizations if needed, all of that can be built and tailored for each individual user, all under the same system. So that's just kind of an example that shows you a little bit about the power and flexibility, extendability of the 365 sales product. We have customers that look at this, as I've referenced a couple times. 365 sales is part of the customer engagement suite, which contains sales, customer service, marketing, project service, and field service. A few customers that leverage it for both sales and service, which is the nice thing about that. And this is across the board. I mean, tons of businesses utilize CRM, and not just Microsoft, but tons of businesses utilize CRM for sales and service. I would say arguably that's kind of the two major components of it, along with everything else. But by giving the sales reps and the service team full visibility into what's going on, it'll allow them to do their jobs even better, right? For sales, when they're getting ready to go meet a client, obviously I don't know how many people are doing face-to-face these days, but when you're getting ready to go meet a client face-to-face, to jump on a phone call with them, do any type of meeting, by having all of that customer service information in there, the tickets that they're managing, time tracking, how much time have we spent working on issues for our clients, getting all that stuff in there. The sales reps, when they're going into their client meetings, they'll be able to be fully prepared. And they have a full picture on any types of issues that their clients that they're meeting with have been dealing with. How has our customer service team properly and adequately helped them, if we have, hopefully. And then, so they're not going to get blindsided within those client meetings, right? But then also on the other side of the fence, the service team, by having access to that sales-oriented data, if they want to, they can go in and see, okay, what's getting ready to close? How much more business are we going to have get brought in? Are we going to have an uptick potentially in projects or service or whatever it is, potential uptick, downtick in tickets, so we can make sure that our team is properly set up to handle what's coming here in the very near future. So by giving both the sales and service side of the business full access, you're able to make sure that your team, again, has all the tools at their disposal to adequately do their jobs. And then just one other quick one. I'm going to actually pass the buck back to Anash to finish up here. So
Sure. Thanks, Mike. And so the last thing we like to always touch upon is the data migration. Most, like we mentioned right in the beginning, you want all your users want to have all the data hopefully in one place where they can kind of look at it and make decisions. And it's very important for the data migration into Dynamics from all your disparate sources be done well. It really requires knowledge of the Dynamics platform for you to do this successfully. And here's why. Data transformations are needed. Data has to be put in a certain way. Things have to be customized within CRM to make it fit the old legacy data in some cases. So again, knowledge of the platform is really important. Understanding how the data has to fit and what it has to look like for the users is really important. And we've had several successes doing this for several customers. Because at the end of the day, users have to trust the data. They may have used another system for 15 years and they know that data in and out. And when they get to the new system with Dynamics, you want to make sure it actually meets what they need and they understand it and know it and they have confidence in the new system they're going to use. And with that, I guess we'll turn it over to Alex. That's the end of our webinar today.
Anash and Mike, thank you so much for all that information. Looks like we've already gotten a few questions come in. Everyone else watching, feel free to submit a question if you have, if you've got one. Our first question here, is there a guesstimate of what implementing this would cost?
So I can take that one. So it's a hard, and just being fully transparent. The last thing we ever want to do is, BS anybody. I like being fully transparent, and being transparent in that regard. It's a very hard question to answer. So we've seen implementations as low as, $5,000-$10,000 for just getting you spun up. And those things can get into the six figures for sure. We've had plenty of projects in that area. The problem with estimating all that is that every organization is completely different, right? You all do, and there may be some similarities with other organizations in your industry and things like that, but everybody does business the way that they do business. They have data points that are important to them. They have processes that need to be replicated, improved upon, automated. They have data, which, like Anash just mentioned, where is that data coming from? What type of shape is that data in? Because all of it needs to be as clean as possible before we even attempt to bring it into the CRM system. Because if you're bringing in bad data, you're already off to a terrible start on the CRM, right? Those are all some components. Integration, does this need to be tied into your ERP, your backend, your accounting system, marketing, whatever it is, right? These are all things that really play a vital role in figuring out kind of the cost to what it would be. So that's where I say I don't like answering that question, because I never have a good answer without speaking to the organization directly that's interested in doing this. Because like I said, it can be all over the board. It could be 10,000 for very basic minimal setup and configuration, all the way up into the six figures and even more than that, right? So I know it's not a fun, easy question to answer, but it's much easier. Whoever asks that question, just reach out to me and we'll talk directly, and then I'll give you your answer. How about that? So
Sounds good. Our next question that came in here, does Dynamics have a good reporting engine, or should I look into Power BI?
So I can start, and then Ash, if you want to jump in too. So Microsoft Dynamics does have a very powerful reporting engine built right within the system. I always like to kind of say with Microsoft, there's kind of 4 different ways that you can report on information. One of them is, I'm going to maybe get into the weeds a little much here, and I apologize if you haven't used Microsoft CRM before, but there are system views, so you can go in and filter out filtered criteria list to give you that data that you need. People work off of those lists all day, every day. You can go in and build dashboards within the system, and dashboards are based off of the system views as well as the standard report writer. The standard report writer is very powerful. It allows you to do joins, summaries, schedule reports out, export it out into various different types. So whether it's a PDF, a spreadsheet, Word doc, PowerPoint, since it's all tied into the Microsoft suite, it allows you to pull that information out very easily. The fourth way is what someone just asked, which is Power BI. Power BI is that kind of reporting on steroids, right? It allows you to build even more complex and pretty, I guess I will say, charts and graphs. So there's more capabilities around that, but also more capabilities for spotting, I would say, both historical and future trends. Whereas the CRM report writer is going to be kind of more static in a way that, hey, show me all this information, all this data that happened in the past 30 days or the next 30 days, group it by this, all that kind of stuff. The Power BI aspect of it is really going to take that a step further and allow you to really kind of step in, look at trends, and analyze data and make very good decisions based on that information. So I don't know if that answers the question. And Ash, if there's more you want to add in there real quick, feel free.
No, I think you summed it up pretty well, Mike. Yeah, absolutely. There's several reporting capabilities available.
Awesome. And I do want to mention, if you are interested in Power BI and learning more about that, our last webinar in this series went over Power BI, so definitely check out our on-demand webinar library for that. Our next question we got in here, our company currently leverages SharePoint and OneNote. How would these be tied into Dynamics 365 sales?
Sure, I'll take that one. So essentially, it's a pretty seamless integration. That's the beauty of implementing a Microsoft solution that way. It's you just basically establish the already set up connector. It connects into SharePoint and it connects into OneNote, and each account, or actually each entity in the SharePoint site can have its own SharePoint folder. So whether you're an account or an option, you have its own SharePoint folder as needed, and you can configure this so that all that data is put into SharePoint and yet visible within your CRM. The same thing works with OneNote. As you go to each account has its own OneNote book, and you can put in all your notes on that account within the OneNote book.
Okay,
pretty seamless overall.
Awesome. Another question we just got in: how many staff members do we need to launch a CRM?
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer for that. You know, we have clients that, I mean, literally they're a one-person shop that they need their CRM to manage their day-to-day, you know, business, right? Or they wouldn't be able to operate. We also have clients that I think there's like 1,500 users, right? So it's really all across the board. Super small companies, super large companies, there's always a need for CRM. There's always a need for that database, either from a sales or service, marketing, support, whatever it is component. There's always a need for that. What I think maybe a better way to answer that question is, how many staff members do we need to kind of manage the CRM? So again, it's kind of the same. It's not a great answer in the fact that it's all over the board. A lot of it's dependent on how many users do you have, how big is your IT staff, depending on the system that you're going with, how many team members have those kind of administrative capabilities. Because in our expertise and our belief and experience, one of the things that can make a CRM launch the most successful is to make sure that, you know, not only obviously do you have a partner like XTIVIA that's there to get you through everything and make sure you're up and running and rocking and rolling, but also having some expertise in-house for after go live, right? So kind of administrators or super users that your team can turn to for questions. Hey, I'm trying to build this report and I'm getting stuck. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do here. They have a super user on their team that they can go to get those questions answered. Or even like basic changes. Like, again, one of the big components of the CRM is that there's processes, there's automation, that type of stuff that you can build in to really kind of automate and clean up, you know, some of the work that you all do. Admins internally, if they're taught, if they're trained, which a lot of this stuff can be found online, but we can train them too. If you have the people internally that can do that, you're going to save a lot of time and effort when you have those people internally that can build those out and make those changes for you. The people internally, they're going to know your business, right? Both from, and ideally it's somebody with a little technical expertise, but also business related expertise. And those people can go in and make those changes moving forward to make sure that, because CRM is not a short-term fix. It's not a short-term thing. It's a long-term goal that's ever changing along with your business, right? So you want to make sure you have expertise in-house that can help you stick with that and grow along to it.
Okay, great. Our next question here: does Dynamics have configure price quote capability?
I'll take that one. So go ahead, Mike, if you want. Welcome.
No, you go for it.
So it doesn't have the whole dynamic CPQ engine built in. You can do basic products and pricing. But what we would recommend is that if you want to look at CPQ, there are some good add-ons which you can enable for Dynamics to make that happen.
Okay, great. And it looks like our last question we've gotten in this morning: as we research, there seem to be several good CRM options. Why would I choose Microsoft as our CRM over other leaders?
I'll take that one. So, and it is a very good question, and it's a question that anybody who's looking into CRM, researching CRM, should ask themselves and ask the people that they're working with. I would give you a couple of reasons. One, it's Microsoft. Microsoft is constantly evolving and constantly putting the right people and putting the right investment into the product to make sure that it's keeping up with the times, it's getting out ahead of the times. As technology changes and adapts, the CRM is going to be right there with you, right? It's not going to fall behind. We have worked with some CRM solutions in the past that are not able to do that, and it really suffers. It drags everything down, right? Working with the Microsoft stack, they're always improving. They're always putting money and muscle behind it to make sure that it's always staying at the front and one of the leaders in the CRM market space. Other big reason, and this is always kind of number one in my mind, if your organization is a Microsoft shop at all, whether it's Office 365, whether it's Teams, whether it's SharePoint, OneNote, Business Central, Power BI, it doesn't matter. take a strong look at the Microsoft Dynamics 365 platform. Like we've kind of referenced a few times prior, it becomes a full-on collaborative suite across your team members, across the organization. Doesn't matter what their role is, where they're located, none of that stuff, right? It is a full-on collaborative suite. You don't have to worry about, you know, in my mind, integration's a big word, scary word. You know, but if you're utilizing the Microsoft products, you don't have to integrate SharePoint with 365. You don't have to integrate Teams with 365 or OneNote or Office. It's a plugin. It's plug and play, which makes not only it more seamless and easier on everyone, including IT or who's ever managing the system, but also up front, it's going to be a lot easier to set up and save you both time, headache, and money, right? Because if you're going with some other non-Microsoft product, yes, it can pull those systems together, but you're going to need a third-party plugin or just pay a hefty fee up front to get those systems talking. So Microsoft, again, the biggest, if you're using any Microsoft product, it allows you to tie everything together to make it very seamless, to, again, give your team one solution that they are going to do their jobs, not 5, 6, or 7. One system from the phone, from the tablet, from their computer, wherever they're at. Give them the tools to succeed so they can bring in more revenue for the organization.
All right, great. Well, I think that wraps up our webinar this morning. As I mentioned, this will be available in our on-demand webinar library, and make sure you come back for our last in our Microsoft series. And Mike and Anash, thank you so much for all that info this morning.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having us, Alex. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Have a great day, everyone.